Alrighty, so today we are going to do the review of this Saturday night action to pretty much conclude MLS action until June 25th. We're not going to have MLS game for the next 10 days because the FIFA Club World Cup and the Gold Cup is happening. And I gotta say, when it comes to the FIFA Club World Cup and the Gold Cup, it's been some mixed resort. I mean, for the Gold Cup itself, we have seen some big crowd like what we saw in the game between Mexico and Dominican Republic, which I heard there was a 50,000 plus that attended that game. But we also have some mixed kind of resort where the U.S. Have problem in terms of attracting fans even to their game at PayPal Park. I, of course, was there, and yeah, only 12,000 really showed up for the game. And then we saw what happened in those game at Snapdragon Stadium, where there was feel like there was only like 500 people in one of the game between Haiti and Saudi Arabia. And the same goes for the Club World Cup itself. I mean, I just recently saw an incredible atmosphere that we saw between Boca Junior and Benfica, but we also saw what happened in Seattle yesterday, and we also saw what happened earlier today between Chelsea and LAFC, where it was pretty much played in front of a third full stadium at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So it's been kind of a mixed result in terms of these tournament and what pretty much the U.S. and Fox always dub this as the summer of soccer. But anyway, going back to MLS action itself, let us actually begin because this is gonna be a long review before I, of course, kind of go into a rambling about other tournament because after all this is a review of MLS game, and I'll do the review of the Seattle Sounder versus Botafogo and the Chelsea versus LAFC review after this. I'll do that in a separate video, but the first game we're going to talk about is the Philadelphia Union and Charlotte FC. And also one more thing, I promise, the game that we talked about on Saturday between St. Louis and LA Galaxy. I already did that video, and of course I did the two preview or the two review of the Thursday and Friday game before I hit the road on Saturday. But yeah, in this game between the Union and Charlotte FC, well, the Union almost fall victim of not able to kill your opposition off. I mean, how many times we said when you're the better team and you leave a one goal lead late in the game, yeah, there's always that uncertainty. But thankfully for the Union, they once again got some late heroics in this one, and it kind of comes from a very unlikely source. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game, Steve Vargas puts it over from long range before Bueno puts it over from long range in the 12th minute. Keep in mind, it was a short-handed Union side coming into this game against Charlotte, as it is the case for a lot of these teams that are still short-handed because some of these players that were playing the international duty, some of them might not be completely back full to fitness, with some of them might even play a huge amount of minutes that they might not be fit for 90 minutes. But in the 21st minute, oh, by the way, a couple of half chances early on, but neither really troubled the keeper. In the 21st minute, Damiani would puts it over from long range. We then go for a period where not much really happened before Pepiel crows it wide from long range, and then Bedoya would hit one right to Bingham in the 41st minute. Bingham then denied Diamani from close as the Union was pressing hard to try to get the lead before we get to halftime, and they do. As Jesus Bueno scored his first goal of the season in the second minute of stoppage time, and the Union heads to halftime with a 1-0 lead. In the second half, Bingham would deny Diamante from close as the Union kind of picked up where they left off. It seems like the goal that they score late in the first half really helped pick up their momentum, and now we're pressing for a second. Vasilev would then puts it wide from long range. Bingham then denied Diamante on the header before Lukic would hit it right to Bingham in the 65th minute. As again, the Union continued to look for that second goal, but the question is, can they beat David Bingham, who seems like he's back to his old self in this one? I mean, that's kind of a throwback scene that David Bingham, he's been in the league for a while now, and while he's been kind of a bit of a cast off, I still remember the days of him being the number one for the San Jose Earthquakes almost about a decade ago. No, he's still a pretty solid goalkeeper. He definitely showed it in this one, and a good backup option for Charlotte FC in this one because he has simply kept his team in the game with some big save, and that this could have been easily 3 or 4 nothing if he wasn't making those saves. Westwood but then had a rare chance for Charlotte, but he puts it way wide from long range before Bingham would deny Donovan from close in the 73rd minute. And this is where again I wrote, will the inability to kill this game off come back to haunt the Union because again, holding on to a 1-0 lead, even when you're playing at home, it only takes one moment of magic on the other end and the game is tied up. That's what happened. That one moment of magic happened for Charlotte. As in the 78th minute, Wilfred Zaha, he scored for Marshall Ruddy and Abada to tie the game up at one apiece. Diamani did look to respond, but he hits it right to Bingham before Rick, with a rare save here to deny Abada, who tried to do a smash and grab for Charlotte FC in the 86th minute. So it looked like most likely Charlotte was gonna get a 1-1 draw in this game, in the game where, yeah, it feels like they definitely stole a point out of this one, considering they were under pressure a lot in this one. But in the ninth minute of stoppage time, or in the 8th minute of stoppage time, that is, the Union gets the winning goal. And again, it comes from an unlikely source. Marcus Anderson scoring his first career MLS goal, the MLS next pro phenom from Union to make his presence in this one. He scored from Westfield to give the Union all 3 points. And again, what a way to score your first ever MLS goal in deep in stoppage time, and a winner as well. As the Union, the magical season but for this team continues. They get the 2-1 win over Charlotte. The shots in this one, 20 shots with 8 that Charlotte has, 2 shots on goal for the 9 that the Union has, 4 shots off target with a 3 that Charlotte has, 3 shots that was blocked with a 6 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that the Union has in this game. And for Charlotte, this is going to be heartbreaking. I mean, they were close to get a point. I mean, I know overall the result is not a big surprise. The Union definitely deserve all 3 points, but the fact that the Charlotte, who has really struggled to get points this season on the road, this was a great opportunity to do so. Especially, it seems like most likely they were going to get a point, and then they gave away a late goal like that, and yeah, they get nothing out of this game as a result. Speaking of getting nothing out of the game, that's what New England did in the game against Cincinnati. Though I will say this feels like more of a Pat Nolan Cincinnati side that we seen when they were having a good run of form to begin the season than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Because as we've talked about with FC Cincinnati's last couple of weeks under Pat Nolan, it has not looked good whatsoever, especially on the defensive front. Now, you could argue it was against New England, and again, New England this season, this is kind of the game that they usually play, kind of that grinded out kind of game, so that they can, of course, get all 3 points. And in this one, they have their limited chances in this one, but also in a game where there, to be fair, wasn't really too much chances in this one. Cincinnati got that one moment of magic, and also helped the fact that they have that $18 million man that is still scoring goals for them. In the first half, Buka had a shot that was deflected and goes wide before the post, denying Orejano from close. Celentano then denied Shankalai from close, as it was a very open game to begin. There was some back-to-back action, end-to-end action in the early bit, but in the 26th minute, Cincinnati strike again. And again, it's that $18 million man, Kevin Denke. He continued to score for Cincinnati. He's now up to 11 goals so far for Cincinnati. It's safe to say that money has been well spent for Cincinnati, as he scored for Morigiano to give Cincinnati a 1-0 lead. Polster did look to respond, but he puts it over in the 39th minute before Shankalai puts it way wide from long range. But New England started to get themselves back into this game a little bit, started to create a couple of half chances. They were looking to try to get the equalizer, but instead we had to halftime with Cincinnati leading 1-0. In the second half, Polster would hit it right to Salatano. Not much really happened despite like that chances in the second half, which usually when a team on the road is leading a game, especially a 1-0 lead, that definitely for Cincinnati. Evander would then hit it right to Ivasic before Denke puts it wide from close in the 62nd minute, as Cincinnati was pressing for another one. Urruti then hits the sign inning, which kind of fooled half the fans at Gillette Stadium. Like, the fans really celebrated, thinking that was the equalizer. Obviously, that optical illusion fooled half of the stadium before Ivasic denied Denke from long range, and that was pretty much it. I mean, in the last 16 minutes, I didn't really write too much notes because there wasn't really anything notable to see in this one. As in the end, Cincinnati, they get a much needed 1-0 win on the road against New England, and it's a big win too, because New England has been hot lately, but they're able to go to Gillette Stadium and get a massive 3 points that to end a little bit of a downward trend that the Cincinnati team has been gone recently. The shots in this one, 10 shots apiece for both of these teams, 2 shots on goal for the 3 that Cincinnati has, 1 shot off target for the 4 that New England has. Both teams had 4 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Cincinnati has in this game. Very frustrating game if you're the New England Revolution. I mean, they did mostly everything right in this game. They limited the chances that Cincinnati, of course, got. But the problem is they weren't able to score the goals, and that's kind of been the problem for New England throughout the season. They've been kind of getting away with it because they just have done enough when it comes to the goal scoring and have been pretty locked down on the defense. And this is a game where the goal kind of dried up, and the chances that they have shown in the past able to take in in between, which has not been taken in this game. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is Columbus and Vancouver. So, only for the second time this season, the Vancouver Whitecaps lose a game, and you just kind of had a sense that it was going to happen because of the way that, when you look at this roster, they are still kind of hamstringed by so many international call up and so many players that is missing to the team, to the point where you just kind of had a sense, even with the tenacity and strength that Jasper Sorensen has shown, going on the road against a Columbus team that desperately need free points. I mean, this is a game that I mentioned not only as a marquee matchup, but it's kind of a game where you kind of sense Columbus need to win this one to get themselves out of their own downward turn that they've had in the last couple of games, and they did exactly that. And to be fair, they kind of got lucky to not score more than 2 goals in this one. In fact, all the goals actually came in the first 23 minutes. It starts in the second minute when Aliu would score from Lapinainen and Herrera to make it 1-0 in favor of the Crew. That was the first shot of the game as well. But that lead lasted only 4 minutes because Ngando would score from Rios and Laborda to tie the game up at one apiece. It comes off a bad turnover from Columbus in the midfield. But yeah, this is what Vancouver's been doing all season. It doesn't matter what kind of adversity that they face. It doesn't even matter if they can see the first goal so early in a game on the road. Only the Vancouver Whitecaps will have the tenacity and the just the mental strength to try to pick themselves up and find themselves the equalizer. Jackson did look to respond, but he puts it over from long range. But in the 23rd minute, Columbus retake the lead. It's Diego Rossi. He scored from Gastech to give Columbus a 2-1 lead. That's the first assist for Daniel Gastech, and it's been a long time coming as well. I do think that Daniel Gastech seems like the system that he's in right now with Wilfred Nancy. I don't know if it really works well for him. He's really struggled in this system compared to where he was with the Union. But nevertheless, that has to feel good to finally contribute on the goal scoring part, albeit only on the assist department. And also, it kind of came off a bad turnover for Vancouver. So Columbus, of course, called the ball away in the midfield. Now it's Vancouver turn to return the favorite, and just like that, the Crew has the lead back in the 23rd minute. And after some goal scoring fury, at least we see in this one, that kind of is what we saw in terms of the first half. There wasn't really much that happened for the remaining of the first half. In fact, we had to halftime with Columbus having that 2-1 lead. In the second half, Ocampo would hit one right to Bush before Jackson looked like he scored the third goal for Columbus, but VAR disallowed that goal for offside. Get used to saying that in this game because this would be the first of many that the Crew thought that they got the third goal in this game. And again, for the most part, there hasn't been a lot of chances to start the second half either. We didn't see our next chance until the 69th minute when Uncampo puts it wide from long range. Rossi then looked like he put the ball into the back net, but again, the goal was disallowed for offside. There was a lot of offside call against the Columbus Crew in this one. Kubas then blasted over from long range, and then Herrera puts it into the back of net. Once again, the flag did not agree with him there. That's the third time in this game that the Columbus Crew has been have a goal chopped off because of offside. That is by far the most that I've seen the team have a goal chopped off because of the flag, and it just kind of had a sense where he had to write, yeah, they're just simply snake bit. And this has to be frustrating if you're the Crew, and especially for Wilfred Nancy, because they actually have done everything right in this one, but you just kind of had a sense they can't just hold on to this one goal lead, knowing Vancouver has shown in the past that they can somehow find a way to salvage a resort. Selemani tried to do so, but he hits it right to Bush before Herrera would hits one right to Takoka in the first minute of stoppage time, and then he absolutely robbed Russell Rowe from point blank in the third minute of stoppage time as Columbus. They kind of realized that, yeah, they better keep the pedal on the metal, which we usually see that with Wilfred Nancy side. It doesn't matter if Columbus is 2-1 up or even 5-1 up. They're going to keep pounding. They're trying to get more goals in here. They were trying to kill this game off. Morrissey tried to do so, but he hits it right to Takoka. And despite the fact that they didn't kill this game off by getting that third goal, it was good enough for them to hold on to get a massive 2-1 win and only hand the Vancouver Whitecaps their second loss of the season. The shots in this one, 9 shots for the 8 that Columbus had, 5 shots on goal for the 3 that Vancouver has, 3 shots off target for the 1 that Columbus had. Both teams had 2 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 58% possession over the 42% possession that the Whitecaps has in this game. And the only thing I will say coming out of this game, it's kind of unfortunate that we didn't really see the best out of both team in terms of the starters. If they're the starters were in both of these teams, which both of these teams, of course, were missing starters. This game probably would have been even more interesting, but alas, like I said, for the Crew, they needed this one badly. They were on a really long winless run, even in Wilfred Nancy's standard. I think this was the longest winless run that Wilfred Nancy side had gone before it finally came to an end in this game. And for the Vancouver Whitecaps, I mean, there really isn't anything to worry about after this game. You know that if you are facing that many players missing as they have done throughout these last couple of games, eventually you're going to lose one of them. There's really no shame in terms of that, and I'm pretty sure Jasper Sorensen's side will be happy the fact that once they do get some of their guys back, and especially if the Canadian national team don't go really too far in the Gold Cup, which is highly unlikely, they might get some of the players back in this team, and even the U.S. men's national team as well. Once they if they don't go too far into the Gold Cup, they'll get their squad back, and this team is going to be back to being a wagon in the Western Conference. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Minnesota and San Diego. So for the Loons, this went well, at least for the first half in this one. Then the second half happened. Yeah, the second half, San Diego kind of shows you why they might be on verge of being the best expansion team we have ever seen in terms of score total. And I think I'll probably have to eventually make a video talk about San Diego FC in this incredible expansion season. Maybe even compare them to LAFC and their 2018 expansion season because it seems like San Diego is in terms of the points that total that they are hitting right now, they're on verge of potentially not only getting close to LAFC mark in terms of the most expansion points ever, but definitely on verge of breaking LAFC record for the most point an expansion team has ever got in the expansion season in MLS history. Now, in the first half, Burskov would hits it right to Spiel before Yaboa with Minnesota first shot, but he hits it right to Dos Santos. But then in the 8th minute, Minnesota takes the lead, and it was an absolute gift too. I mean, Chris McVeigh here, just a shade of Sean Johnson moment here with the own goal. Obviously, that reference is the opening game at Allianz Field where it was a simple back pass. Sean Johnson completely didn't get it. He actually went through his leg, kind of got 5 hold there and goes into his net. And here McVeigh basically just pass it back. It was way too strong there, and Dos Santos weren't able to get to it, and it rolls into to the net. I mean, just again, so, I didn't think we were gonna see something similar to what we saw in that Sean Johnson kind of home goal vibes that we saw in the opener at Allianz Field ever. But here we are. This is probably the closest we had, and just like that, Minnesota has the 1-0 lead. But that lead quickly disappeared just 3 minutes later because Minnesota has had their troubles at time in terms of holding on leads. Like this feels like it happens a lot more than it should be. Where for whatever reason this team when they have the lead, I think this was kind of more of a problem last season as well. This season I think they've done a little bit better. Last season they had a lot of trouble in terms of scoring first, and then just quickly gave up the goal relatively quickly. And here it happened again in the 11th minute as Anders Schreier continued to show why he might be the newcomer of the year and maybe even pushing his candidate for MVP this season as well because he has just been an impact player and then some for the San Diego team. All the talk getting into this season was about Chucky Lozano and he's going to be kind of like the Carlos Vela type of player. I feel like the Anders Dryer signing. While I said originally I thought that was a really good signing for San Diego, I don't think anyone would have expected this. I don't even think San Diego fans would have expected what an impact player. And simply, he's kind of stole the headlines from Chucky Lozano being that impact player that the San Diego team has got this season. Because here he scored an absolute golazo from the halfway line. Now, to be fair, Russell Spiel, yeah, he probably shouldn't have come off his line that much, and this would be the beginning of just a nightmare debut that he has in MLS. But nevertheless, you gotta give props to Andre Stroud. What a goal that was almost kind of did Lucas Orellano there, and just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece. Yoboa did look to respond, but he hits it right to Dos Santos. I thought Yoboa had a good game in this one, and we need him to have a good game because with Tani going to be out for a bit with the Canadian national team, he's gonna have to step up in terms of the goal scoring department. Spiel then denied Bombino from close before Marcanic missed wide from close range. Inverson then puts it over from long range. Both of these teams were definitely getting some good chances, but the question is, who is going to be the one that gets the crucial second goal or the crucial third goal of this game? That is, the answer is Minnesota. As in the 38th minute, Calvin Uboa would score to make it 2-1 in this one, and yeah, it's not very often that we see Dos Santos make mistake in this season, and this was kind of a rare mistake where he just gave up a juicy rebound on Pereira's shot. Yeboah was there to pounce on it, and just like that, Minnesota retakes the lead. Then he looked for his second and the third for Minnesota, but he puts it over in the 41st minute before Alvarado hits one that was actually almost spilled by Spiel, but goes out for a corner, and it's safe to say that Russell Spiel, yeah, he was having some debut jitters for himself because he just have not looked good whatsoever, not looked convincing at all tonight, and it just gets worse for the young Dutch goalkeeper. So we head to halftime with Minnesota leading 2-1. Things were looking well, but like I said, second half happened. And despite not much really happened in the beginning of the second half, in the 60th minute, it looked like San Diego tied it when Alex Mighton put the ball into the back net. Problem was, the flag did not agree with him. Then just 2 minutes later, a penalty was given to San Diego as VAR deemed Marcanic handball this one in the box. So here comes Anders Schreier, a chance to score for the second time and tie the game up for San Diego. And he does exactly that. Though, to be fair, that is one that Spiel would want to have back. I mean, he actually guessed the right way. It wasn't actually a great penalty for Anders Schreier. And I gotta say, if that was Dane Sinclair and net, Dane Sinclair would probably save that in his sleep. But Spiel, even though he guessed the right way, just could not palm that one away there. Just so disappointing to see. And just like that, San Diego ties the game up at two apiece. Le did try to answer, but he hits it right to Dos Santos. But then the 75th minute, San Diego takes the lead for the first time in this game as Iloski was scored from Dreyer to make it 3-2 in favor of San Diego. Is it safe to say that Milan Iloski is giving me some Elsinio kind of vibe with him? And for those that probably don't know that reference, Elsinio a couple of years, and really when this channel started covering MLS, he was kind of considered the super sub king. He's a guy that always comes off the bench and almost is like a cheat code for the Union of scoring goal off the bench. I feel like he's kind of like the Elzinho kind of player now, Iloski, because he feels like he's been scoring goals left, right, and center ever since he come off the bench. Or should I say maybe he's kind of like the Dejan Joveljic type of player, because I remember when Joveljic, before he won his starting spot for the Galaxy, he was another guy that was kind of coming off the bench every single game, and just seems like he score goal every single game as well. But at the same time, despite that goal, that was not great marking for the Loons, and the back line in this game, it just fell off for this team. This is a very good defensive team throughout the season. They at one point have the best defensive record. I don't think they have the best defensive record anymore after this performance. It just fell off tonight. I mean, everybody will definitely point the finger toward Russell Spiel towards his nightmare debut, but let's not forget about the defense of the Loons in this one. This was probably one of the worst performance, if not the worst performance, this backline have put. Not since probably against Vancouver when they lost that one as well. Iloski then looked for another, but he hits it right to Spiel, and then the post denied Iloski after Spiel was going to catch it. It looks like he was going to comfortably catch that one, and I think he just caught this one completely, or he just misjudged that completely because Iloski was able to hit this one and almost beat him easily if it wasn't for the post saving him there. And again, I have seen Russell Spiel play with the Loons in Open Cup play, and this is nothing familiar. He just does not look comfortable whenever he's trying to go forward to try to catch the ball or even coming off his lines there, and it was exposed once again in this one. He just does not look comfortable whenever he try to come off his lines. But yeah, like I said, even if that goal didn't happen, this has been a nightmare debut for Russell Spiel. I don't know if he's gonna get another chance. I doubt that is the case. I don't know why the Loons don't bring Alex Smear in as the backup goalkeeper. I mean, I know he probably isn't that good either, but it can't be worse than what we saw with Russell Spiel in this game. Diaz then hits it right to Dos Santos in the 86th minute, but then the second minute of stoppage time. Guess who? It's that man again, Milan Iloski. He scored from Veskov to give San Diego all 3 points in this game, and yeah, in the end, San Diego they walk into to Allianz and got all 3 points in this one. The shots in this one, 15 shots for the 9 that Minnesota has, 8 shots on goal for the 6 that Minnesota has, 2 shots off target compared to 3 that San Diego has, 3 shots as blocked for the 1 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 37% possession compared to the 63% possession that San Diego has in this game. And I know it's easy to overreact if you're a Loons fan after this loss itself, and especially it's against a good team as well. I mean, San Diego has been able to do that against every single team, but you just kind of had a sense if this is a Loons team that wants to get into the upper echelon and trying to be a contender, which I think they definitely can. These are kind of the games that they have to win, especially at home, and especially the fact that this feels very eerily similar to last season. Again, once they're started missing some of their key guys because of international duty, yeah, things kind of fall apart for this team. I'm just hoping it's not going to be the case again, because if it is going to be the case again, oh boy, this could be rough to watch for this team in these next couple of weeks. With that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the next 4 games as part of this mega 10 game review that I'm doing to finish up the review of the Saturday action of match week number 19. So moving on, in the next game is Sporting KC versus FC Dallas, and yeah, I think everybody predicted this was going to happen. I mean, I said that there was going to be a lot of goals in this game between Sporting KC versus Dallas, because it's almost like a given this season that when Dallas are playing home, yeah, you're probably not going to see a lot of goal, but when they are playing on the road this season, for whatever reason, their attack looked like a complete 180 than they are when they're playing at home. And in this game, yeah, they once again flex their attacking Mike again in the way of Sporting KC. But to be fair, they actually didn't get off to a great start in this game, because 8 minutes into this game, on the first shot of the game, Sporting KC scores. And it's Suleimanov. He scored from Joveljic to make it 1-0 in favor of SKC, and it was the first shot of the game and an absolute banger. But the lead quickly disappeared, because just 3 minutes later, Musa would score from more to tie the game up at one apiece, and that was Dallas' first shot as well. And it's kind of interesting that in this game, the goal that was scored is literally the first 2 goal that was scored in this game is literally happened around the same time as the last game between Minnesota and San Diego, and kind of the same sequence as well. The home team scored the first goal in the 8th minute. The road team quickly responds in the 11th minute. In the 19th minute, Joveljic looked to retake the lead, but he hits it right to Paz from the corner before Suleimanov would hit the side netting, and there was no doubt that Sporting KC was pushing to try to get the lead back. Julio then had a shot that was clear off the line by Miller in the 42nd minute, but we do head to halftime with the score tied up at one apiece. It didn't feel like it, because there were definitely some golden chances for both of these teams, and in the second half, the goal scoring lines continue, because in the 55th minute, a penalty was given to Dallas as Acosta was brought down by Miller there in the box. So here comes Lucho Acosta, a chance to give the lead for Dallas, and he does exactly that. So he buries it to make it 2-1, and it goes bad from worse from Sporting KC, because Kyrie Shelton would get his second yellow card of this game in the 62nd minute, and Dallas was no time to take advantage of that, because 7 minutes later, Kamungo would score to make it 3-1 in favor of Sporting KC. There was definitely some question whether or not if that was offside, especially on the development of the play. It was very, very close, but I think he was just level on the development play that the goal, of course, stand. But yeah, it's just been all falling apart for Sporting KC in this second half. Now find himself 3-1 down and find himself down to 10 men. Charlie did look to get one back, but he missed wide there before Joveljic would hit it right to Paz. And to be fair, Sporting KC, it feels like, I think after that 10-minute spell where they had a red card and two goals that just completely rattled the team, it feels like they picked themselves up and now show some life to try to get one back. Munoz would put it wide from close in the 81st minute, but then in the 82nd minute, yeah, Dallas pretty much put this one out of reach, as Lucho Acosta would score from Norris to make it 4-1 in favor of Sporting KC. This is the Lucho Acosta that I think Dallas was hoping for, and especially the Lucho Acosta that kind of in this game performed just like the Lucho Acosta that we saw during his time with FC Cincinnati. Miller would then hits it right to Paz on the free kick, but in the first minute of stoppage time, Munoz would score from Garcia to make it 4-2 in this one. So yeah, just made it a little bit interesting in this one because again, defense in this game was kind of optional at time. Kamungo did look to restore the free goal lead, but he struck the post there. The boos were definitely raining down again at Trojan Mercy Park. Yeah, it's been a rough season for Sporting KC. See fans to see their team play and the frustration continue with this team. They lose 4-2 in this one. The shots in this one, surprisingly, not a lot. 11 shots for both of these teams. 5 shots on goal for the 6 that Dallas had. 1 shots off target for the 3 that Sporting KC had. 2 shots that was blocked for the 3 that FC Dallas had. Oh, did I say 3 shot blocked for the 1? I meant 3 shots off target compared to 1 that Dallas had. And possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. So, again, the mystery continue and the just kind of things that doesn't make any sense about Dallas season and the wackiness continue where I just don't know how they keep doing this FC Dallas. How in the world can they be looking this good on the road, especially on the attack, and then when they're playing at home, it's like just a complete 180. And some might say it's maybe because of the weather. And anytime when you're playing that Dallas Heat or that Texas Heat, it definitely slows down the attack at times. But you could say that, but they have played in hot weather before. Heck, they play in a hot weather in Miami as well, and they score 4 goals in that game. So that can't be it. It just this has been a weird season for Dallas, and I don't think Dallas fans can even explain why this team can be this lethal on the attack. It may be a little bit leaky on the defensive front, but then when they're playing at home, it's just the complete 180. And watch how if they play in their next home game, watch how they not only will once again have a low scoring game, but will just once again frustrate their fans. So where has these kind of performance been at home if they keep performing like this on the road? Now, moving on in terms of the next match, it's Houston and Montreal. So this one, I definitely did not see this coming. And we usually see this happen in MLS where resort like this. It feels like this only happens in MLS where it's a game where you just had a sense that yeah, Houston's got this in the bag. I mean, they're facing against a one-win Montreal team that is in crisis. Surely they can't lose this game, right? And then they lost to Montreal in this one. And really, what happened in this game was that, Montreal, for once, showed their clinical finishing, which is something we haven't seen with this team a lot. And the Dynamo, they actually had a lot of chances in this game. This could have been much more high scoring than it is. In fact, I was thinking that when the Dynamo got that goal back in the 64th minute, that, it would be such a Montreal thing to do this season for them to blow a 3-0 lead. But it just didn't happen because Houston just didn't get their shooting boots in this game. Now, in the first half, 7 minutes in, the first shot of the game did see Artur puts it high from long range before Ponce puts it wide from close range. And at least early on, it looks like it's gone according to script. The Dynamo were by far the better team. They were pushing for the opening goal. Andrade would puts it wide before the first shot for Montreal. See, Pierce puts it wide from long range, but the shots were 7-1 in favor of Houston 26 minutes in, and you just kind of had a sense that eventually the Dynamo was going to get that opening goal, right? However, in the 30th minute, Montreal would take the lead as Prince Owusu would score from Clark to give Montreal a 1-0 lead, just completely against the run of play because that was really the first real attacking threat that they have in the box. And then 2 minutes later, he scored again, this time from Gorbaglo and Laturi to make it 2-0 in favor of Montreal. Dynamo fans are absolutely stunned, and I'm pretty sure the Dynamo players and even Ben Olsen is probably stunned too because how in the world did they look so dominant for 30 minutes in this game, not really giving Montreal a sniff on the attack, and now all of a sudden they found themselves 2-0 down. Bond then denied Pierce from close in the 38th minute as the Dynamo still looked like they were completely rattled because of Montreal an outburst before Siwas denying Kovalchik in the near post, and we do head to halftime with Montreal somehow holding a 2-0 lead despite the fact that the Dynamo kind of dominate majority part of the game. And in the second half, Montreal continued to shock everyone by scoring a third goal in the game, as Jalen Neal would score his first for Montreal and his first in 2 years from Tom Pierce to make it 3-0 in favor of Montreal. When I saw the score, I couldn't believe it. Like I know the Dynamo themselves have not had a good season, but recently with the resurgence that they've been in, surely they should not be finding themselves 3-0 down in this game against the Dynamo, right? And it was almost 4-0 as Owusu looked for a fourth one, but he puts this one wide. He almost had a hat trick in this moment, and right now Houston they are just absolutely rattle again. I mean this is not only by far the best that Montreal has look in a while, but this is a result that I don't think anyone saw coming with the way that Montreal is really looking clinical in front of goal, which is something that we just have not seen at all for the most part this season. But in the 64th minute, Linger did get one back for the Dynamo. He scored from Ladero and Artur to make it 3-1 in this one. And in the post, with denied Escobar on the doorstep of goal and on the second phase of play, Dorsey would puts that one wide in the 68th minute. If there is a play that doesn't sum up the Dynamo in this game, that pretty much is the play to do so. I don't know how in the world did Franco Escobar not score like on the doorstep of goal. That's just a classic example of one of those one where it's harder to miss from that range than actually score. But you just kind of had a sense the momentum is now all with the Houston Dynamo. And again, this is where I'm thinking, yeah, it just feels like this is going to be very on brand Montreal blow a 3-0 lead, right? Bond then denied Neal from close in the 76th minute before Linger would heads it wide from close range. And really, as the time winds down, Houston continue to press hard to try to get one back, sets up a grandstand finish. It just never happened because in the end, Montreal, for only the second time this season, they got a win in this one, a 3-1 win on the road. The shots in this one, 19 shots committed, 8 that Montreal has, 5 shots on goal committed, 2 that Houston has. So there's the story of the game. Despite the fact that Houston absolutely outshot Montreal by more than twice, the shots on goal always tells the story. Montreal was just by far more clinical in this one. 7 shots out that is off target for the 2 that Montreal has. 8 shots was blocked for the 1 that Montreal has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession that Montreal has in this game. This game kind of feels a little bit similar to what we saw when Houston took on Austin, where Houston were by far the better team, and somehow they aren't able to get the win. And you could also say the same thing about their opener against Dallas, where they were the better team, and then Dallas just scored 2 quick goals and they won that game. So this is not something that is familiar, and this gotta be very frustrating if you're a Dynamo fan because those are kind of the games where that's 9 points that they could have got when they were by far the better team against their opposition, but because of the fact that they weren't being clinical in front of goal and the lack of mistake on the defensive end and the switch off that happened in quick succession, that's kind of where the Dynamo found themselves in. Just as you thought that they got themselves back into a great position, and just as I praised that this team seems like they're in a good run of form to get themselves back into playoff contention, you simply cannot lose to Montreal at home, and you can consider yourself back in contention. This is going to be a huge blow for this Houston Dynamo team, and for Montreal. Hey, I mean, second win of the season. I mean, I don't think this is by any means the beginning of a crazy comeback for them. I think this team is going to miss out on the playoffs, but this is just a classic example where in MLS, I know it hasn't happened as often as we've seen this season, where there's been some big shocks that happen and some very unexpected resort, but it can still happen. I mean, this is a league where any given Saturday something crazy like this can happen, and that's what we saw in this game in Houston, and the Dynamo kind of found out the hard way, underestimating Montreal and losing to them in this one and handing Montreal only their second win of the whole season. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Chicago and Nashville. So this was not a 7-2 beat down that we saw that Nashville had against Chicago. And in fact, even though Nashville did the double in this one, this game could have gone either way. I mean, this was one of those games where there was a lot of chances, especially for Chicago. And in some way, this game kind of feels a little similar to this one, where Chicago must be scratching their head of how in the world did they not score it in this game. It feels like they must have made a deal with the devil by scoring 7 goals in the last game. And yeah, we talk about how many times where yes, you might score a lot of goals in one game, but sometimes you don't want to spend it all on that just that one game, because the next game you can definitely have a big letdown. And yeah, this was a huge letdown by this Fire team, especially in the finishing department. Now, in the first half, Willis denied Gutierrez in the near post. Now, that being said, despite that, Willis had a really good game in this one, and he has had an incredible season as well. Very underrated season, in my opinion. in before Elliott would heads it wide from the corner, as Chicago seems to pick up where they left off last week with that 7 goal demolition against DC, already pushing for the opener goal. Willis then denied Haile Selassie in the near post, and then the first shot for Nashville saw Surge hits it right to goal before Mukhtar missed wide from close, as Nashville seems like they woke up. They were looking to try to get the opening goal. Bamba was in on goal there, but he missed the target in the 19th minute. And that is one that, yeah, for Jonathan Bamba, with how good he's been in front of goal, that is one that he would want to have back. I mean, 1v1 opportunity, you usually do not see him miss those kind of chances. Taksev then puts it over from long range. Bukta puts it wide from long range in the 28th minute. Both teams definitely getting some dangerous chances. But the question is, who can get that opening goal? Well, Palacio tried to do so, but he hits the post on the header before Guzman had a free header there, but he unfortunately hits this one right to Willis. Kuipers then try to chip with Willis there, but this one hits right to Willis as well in the 39th minute. And then Willis denied Haile Selassie in the 42nd minute. And as I said, if it wasn't for Joe Willis, this could have been at least 2-0 in favor of the Chicago. I mean, this was really the Joe Willis show, at least in the first half. And because of that, we head to halftime somehow scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Nashville gets the opening goal in this game. As in the 56th minute, guess who? It's Hani Mukhtar. He scored from Nahan to make it 1-0 in favor of Nashville. And I know some might say that Nashville is putting a lot of pressure on both Mukhtar and Surge to score because it feels like they're the only contributor in terms of the goal scoring department. But hey, you know the old saying go, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, because right now it's they even though they're heavily rely on both Mukhtar and Surge to get on the score sheet, both of them are still scores, and as long as that is the case, BJ Callahan is not going to go back to that well, and they did it again here with them getting with Mukhtar getting a goal and Naha, of course, getting the assist. Naha had a solid game in this one as well, and kind of maybe a little overshadowed because of both Mukhtar and Surge once again scoring in this game. But yeah, that also is a goal that probably shouldn't happen if it wasn't for the Fire turning the ball over in the midfield. So yeah, there you go. There's kind of the boneheaded play that we've seen with the Chicago Fire. You know, the old saying goes, you can take the fire and you can make them great, but you can only do so much before you the Fire go back to their old ways in this game. But in the 64th minute, Quasum did look for another, but he missed wide, as Nashville definitely started the second half stronger. Fire was kind of flat getting into the second half. Though I say that, but Haile Selassie had a chance in the 70th minute, but he hits it right to Willis before in the 75th minute. Nashville takes a 2-0 lead. Guess what? It's Sam Surridge. He scored again from Nahar and Mukhtar to give Nashville a 2-0 lead. Barroso did look to respond, but his volley hits it right to Willis. Guzman then hits it right to Willis in the 80th minute before Bamba missed it wide from close range, which just kind of sums up the fight night in terms of the finishing. They've just been absolutely snake bitten in front of goal. Just nothing seems like it's fault for them in this one. Sturridge trying to make it 3-0, but he heads it onto the roof of the net. And in the end, Nashville gets the 2-0 win in this one, despite the fact that the shots in this one, 16 shots created, 11 that Nashville has, 8 shots on goal created, 3 that Nashville has. 8 shots on goal seems low, in my opinion. That doesn't seem accurate because I feel like Joe Willis at least made double digit save it in this one with the amount of time that I mentioned his name. 5 shots off target for both of these teams. 2 shots that was blocked for both of these teams, and possession wise, 50% possession for both of these teams, dead even as well. And again, this game could have gone either way. If Chicago was able to show their clinical finishing, and if it wasn't for Joe Willis standing on his head, maybe this game would have been closer than what it is. But instead, Nashville gets the big result in this one. And if you're the Chicago Fire, yeah, this feels like a very familiar story where you dominate against your opposition, you create a lot of chances, and you had a big amount of XG. You come out on the losing end because of boneheaded play on the defensive end. Again, you can take the Chicago Fire out of them, but you can never take the Chicago Fire of the old out of the system completely. And you know, Greg Berhalter, as good of a job that he has done this season, this is kind of the problem the Fire still has, where they still had that kind of full Fire mentality of somehow you're just kind of scratching your head. How in the world did the Chicago Fire lose that game and find some really stupid way to continue to lose game, especially at home as well. I mean, their home form this season, it is shocking how bad their home form this has been this season. If they can fix that home form, there's no doubt this team is going to make the playoffs this year. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is Austin and the New York Red Bulls. So speaking of another team that is struggling on the road, the Red Bulls this season, as we mentioned many times, they are a team that is struggling on the road. It's no surprise to see how much that on the road they have not find a lot of success. Though I will say that in this game, they kind of fall into your typical Austin kind of trap where Austin is kind of a team that that is a very good defensive team and they're not gonna give up a lot of chances and at times maybe show some clinical finishing and get the result. And guess what happened in this one? They did exactly that. And it also helped the fact that they score early in this game because after Duncan heads it over from close, which was the game first shot, in the 6th minute, the first shot for Austin, it's in the back of the net. It's Guillermo Barrow. He scored from Wolf to give Austin a 1-0 lead. And really, besides some early action. We then go for a period where not much really happened, and that only came until the 23rd minute when the Red Bulls would tie the game up as Brandon Vasquez unfortunately scored an own goal here, which, yeah, it's just that own goal just kind of sums up the season for Brandon Vasquez. It's been a very frustrating tenure for him with Los Verdes, and this is just one of those one where, yeah, finally he's shown his clinical finishing with his hand. We've seen that before doing his time with FC Cincinnati. Problem was it was the wrong net. So yeah, that just kind of been the luck of Brandon Vasquez. The good news for him is that a low spoiler alert, the fortune would turn in favor of him late in this one. Bakari then looked to answer, but he was denied by Cornell before Carmona would put it wide from long range as he slipped. And if he didn't slip, that one probably would have been in the back of net. But instead, we head to halftime with the score tied up at one apiece. In the second half, in the 51st minute, as I mentioned, Vasquez luck finally goes back into his favor because he scored here from Bakari to give Austin a 2-1 lead. I believe that came off of a header as well. So yeah, talk about Vasquez given, Vasquez taken. First half was Vasquez taken. Second half was Vasquez given because he scored this redemption goal to give the lead back for Austin at 2-1. We then go for another period where not much really happened in this game, and this is kind of the game that Austin wants to play. They want to keep the game frustrating for their opposition to play. And while it is a kind of boring style of play, hey, if you're winning the game, I don't think anyone really cares. Wolf thought that he scored the third goal of the game, but the flag did not agree with him there before Carvalho would slice it wide from close range, and then he heads it wide in the 87th minute as Austin definitely was bunkering and trying to get the crucial 3 points. And usually when teams try to do that, it doesn't usually really work out. But again, this is the New York Red Bulls when they're playing on the road. You're probably going to hang on because of how bad they've been when it comes to their road form. And unsurprisingly, they lose a game on the road. Austin gets the 2-1 win in this one. The shots in this one, 6 shots for the 13 that the Red Bulls had, 4 shots on goal for the one that the Red Bulls had, 5 shots off target for the none that Austin has, 2 shots that was blocked for the none that the Red Bulls had, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. And remember just a couple of weeks when Austin was in that really bad run of form, and people would even already mention that is Nico Estevez going to be on the hot seat because of the boring style of play that is not earning resort. Well, it seems like his seat has cooled off at least a bit in these last couple of games because it feels like Austin is back on track. And again, it's not pretty soccer by any mean necessary. In many ways, they kind of reminds me a little bit of New England in the Eastern Conference where they don't play some pretty soccer. They have a lot of low scoring game, but they somehow have a very good defense that's gonna frustrate the hell out of their opposition. And if they are able to get those results correctly and score those enough goals while keeping chances of their opposition low, they usually will win games. And that's what we're kind of seeing once again with Nico Estevez side. With that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last 2 games to finish up the mega review that we're going to look at 10 games that happen on Saturday to finish match week number 19. All right, so now let's take a look at these last 2 Mountain Time Zone games, starting off with RSL versus DC United. So I mentioned in the preview, this of course is the desperation derby. Both of these teams desperately need a win to pull themselves out of this downward trend, and in the end, it's RSL the one that is able to get the win to pull themselves out of this downward trend. Whereas for DC, woof, this is not looking good whatsoever. In the first half, Priani would have a shot that was deflected and goes wide before he puts it wide from close. I thought DC kind of got off to the stronger start in this one, and they desperately looked to try to get the opening goal in this one. Gonzalez would then hits it right to Barraza before Barraza denied Contranes from close. And after a slow start to this game, RSL kind of woke up and they were now pressing to try to get the opening goal. And they do, as in the 23rd minute, guess who? It's Johnny Russell. He is now an RSL player. It's very strange to see him wearing an RSL jersey and not with Sporting KC, considering he's been there his whole time in MLS. But here, he make his debut for RSL, and he scored on his debut from Gonzalez to make it 1-0 in favor of RSL, and just kind of proves the fact that, yeah, Johnny Russell still have some left in the tank. Gozo then looked for another, but he missed that one wide as RSL no doubt has the momentum. They were pressing to try to get another. Priani would then puts it high from long range before Baji would miss wide on the header, but we do head to halftime with RSL leading 1-0. In the second half, Baji would hit it right to Cabral before Gozo was in on goal there, but he was denied by Barraza. Gozo then puts it over for long range. RSL continue to push for the second goal, which is just kind of a sense that, yeah, is this going to be one of those games where they just couldn't finish, and the fact that, yeah, Gozo, there's been a revolving door when it comes to that number 9 spot. Right now it's the spot that belongs to Gozo, and he's definitely not live up to his bargaining of the tape. Well, with him missing the chances, though I say that, but in the 77th minute, he finally buries one. And this actually originally was disallowed for offside. So if this actually wasn't overturned by VAR, that would just kind of sums up the luck that Gozo has had this season with RSL. But he scored here from Catranes to give RSL a 2-0 lead. Again, the call was originally offside, but they go to VAR to see whether or not indeed there was no offside, and there wasn't. The goal was overturned. So yeah, just like that, it's 2-0 in favor of the host. Glad would then look to make it 3-0, but he missed wide before Puyol was in on goal there. But this time, or actually, Puyol scored here in the 88th minute, but this time VAR disallowed the goal for offside. So yeah, as the old saying goes, VAR given, VAR taken for RSL. Caliscan then puts it wide from close to the third minute stoppage time before Ruiz would hits one right to Barraza, as RSL still pushing to try to get another one deep into stoppage time. They can sense the fact that they can definitely get another goal against this non-existent DC United defense. And yeah, in the end, RSL they get a much needed 2-0 win to pull them out of this downward trend. The shots in this game, 20 shots compared to 8 that DC had. 1 shot on goal compared to 8 that RSL had. 5 shots off target compared to 3 that DC had. 4 shots on block compared to 8 that RSL has, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to the 42% possession that DC has in this game. And I know it's against DC, and I know you just played against one of the worst defensive team and a team that gave up 7 last week. But for Real Salt Lake, they needed this one badly. It has just been a miserable season for them, and hopefully this win will maybe get themselves back on track. Can't say the same thing about DC United. Again, I'm kind of surprised they haven't fired Troy Lesane. I thought that 7-goal thrashing that they took in the hands of well, actually it wasn't a 7-goal thrashing, it was a 6-goal thrashing, but the final score was 7-1 in favor of Chicago. I thought that was it for Troy Lesane, and I wouldn't be surprised this might be it as well for Troy Lesane. These players are clearly not playing for him. Like, you can clearly see this team has completely checked out, and just like what I said about Montreal, yeah, DC is done this season. There's no chance they're gonna make the playoffs, unless of course they decide to change the head coach, and maybe we'll have that new interim head coach who's to kind of give them some false hope that they're back in the playoff picture. But once that's wear off, they're kind of back where they are right now. They're the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And then finally, last but not least, is Colorado and Orlando City, and this is a game where Orlando City, they needed this one because again things haven't really gone so well for the Lions lately, and they're facing against a Rapid side that again the inconsistency for the Rapids has been frustrating. I mean, there's been times where the Rapids have got a big win in there, and then they have this kind of game where this was a game where they just couldn't finish against Orlando City, and a game where the team that can finish the better or just about able to get all 3 points. Moriel would have the first shot of the game, but he puts it high from long range before Pasalic puts it wide on the header. Navarro would then hits it high from close range. The shots were 2 apiece for both of these teams, as both of these teams have some good early chances. Vines would then miss wide from close in the 19th minute, but then the 24th minute, Orlando takes the lead. It's Ojeda. It's been a while since he has scored a goal. I remember how hot he was around May, but he finally scored a goal here from Pasalic to give Orlando City a 1-0 lead. Schlegel did look for another, but he was denied by Hansen in the 28th minute before Mihajlovic looked to respond himself, but he missed one in the 44th minute. But we do head to halftime with Orlando City having a 1-0 lead. In the second half, Galese would deny Navarro from the header as Colorado started the second half the better side and looked for the equalizer. And this is where, if you're an Orlando City fan, it feels very familiar story and something that's got to still really pissed off a lot of Orlando City fans of Oscar Pereira being ultra defensive when they had the lead on the road. It's almost like Oscar Pereira is pretty much the Adrian Heath of the Eastern Conference at times, just being very negative when they took the lead, on the lead and led their opposition back into this game. Kudibietro would then puts it wide from long range before Navarro puts it wide after just a bad giveaway from Orlando. The good news for Orlando is that we did go for a period where not much really happened. It feels like Orlando survived the original pressure that the Rapids were putting in the beginning of the second half. Pasalic would then hits one right to Hansen before Galese denied Mihajlovic from close in the 72nd minute. And really, as the time winds down, Orlando again still in bunker mode, still in rotate mode, trying to seal all 3 points. Or the Rapids were still trying to chase for the equalizer. Navarro tried to do so, but he heads it wide from close range. But in the end, Orlando City hold on. They get the 1-0 road win in this one, as the shots in this one, 14 shots for the 7 that Orlando has, 3 shots on goal for the 2 that the Rapids had, 6 shots on target for the 4 that Orlando City has, no shots that was blocked for the 5 that the Rapids had, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Orlando City has in this game. So talk about a team that desperately need a win because they've been going for a downward turn. Orlando City get exactly that. And for Colorado, again, the inconsistency continue with this team. And it feels like it's inconsistency heading into the wrong direction right now, where they're kind of inconsistently bad and now started to really slip down the standings. And especially with them now losing at home as well, which has been the strength that they have under Chris Armas, at least in these last 2 seasons. This is definitely not a good sign if you're a Colorado Rapids fan, seeing how this team has sputtered in these last couple of games, and really for this last month or so. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the review of all of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of all of these games, and of course later tonight I will do the review of the two World Cup game involving MLS team as well. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.